Oh, hello, hello. Good morning. Good afternoon. Excuse me. Hello, hello, hello. Uh, this is gonna be video 791, and this video is definitely gonna be a half-baked idea, maybe a quarter-baked idea, or an eighth-baked idea. Um, in that I've not really thought it through. Boy, my voice is very resonating today, isn't it? Um, and as always, with a half-baked idea, um, I hope you can, me too, hope I can give myself the time that I need to process it and whatnot. So it may make more sense at the end. It may not make no sense whatsoever, but it's my life. This is my channel. Blah, blah, blah. You know how that goes. Um, I got to get something to fidget with. Hang on. Sorry, makeup sponge. Um, but I want to talk a little bit about, and it's kind of non-binary stuff. And much like another video I made in the last year, probably what I'm going to share is going to be very offensive. um, but I'm trying to ask myself questions to better myself and my understanding so I become a better person. Okay. And I can only speak about myself because it's my channel. Does that make sense? Okay. But I've noticed lately, and granted, Facebook, we know Facebook can be an echo chamber, and Facebook is not reality, but Facebook can be, well, it's a reaction. It's a crucible of our lives. It's the people we let enter into our lives, whether we accept them as friends or, you know, people that we share stuff with. And my hope is, I find on Facebook that, especially with me playing D&D, and I use Facebook as kind of the scheduling agent for my D&D games, and I use Facebook groups now as a way of discussion. It's just very convenient, especially if you use Facebook. You get reminders, and you have an event coming up, blah 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 blah. It's kind of more of a bulletin board system than a interactive. You know what I mean? It's a bulletin board. Game this Friday, blah blah blah. But so I'm not necessarily sure with my new players, kind of their take on things. But okay, so that's it. That's all out in the open. It's a hell of a build up in it. But I have a couple folks on my feed that are non-binary, and it seems like all of them, and I hate to say all of those non-binary because it's not everybody. It's just the people in my Facebook community, my little world, my little microcosm, Robin's little world. But the majority of stuff that they post seems to be sort of like a shout to the world, like you know, remember back in the 90s, the saying, and I believe it was the National Organization of Women who kind of embraced this. I'm here, I'm queer, and I'm in your face. I think that was the tag. We're here, we're queer, and we're in your face. It was someone in the lines of the transsexual menace of the 80s, but this other movement was very vocal. Okay, But for the non-binary folks, it seems to be like that is their, it's like a rallying cry and a poster, um, not just announcing who they are or the pronouns they prefer to be used, but it's almost like a daily visual assault, like it seems like every meme, every post is a meme. You just see a picture in your feed and it has some, you know, people who don't call me by my preferred pronoun suck. And then an hour or two later, there'll be something else, you know. Um, Non binary people are people, you know. Cis people suck. And it's like, that's all I see, you know. Kind of not necessarily what I want to call propaganda, but, every person has a right to be heard, obviously. You know, I'm not for censorship. That's not my thing. But, if I had a friend who loved iguanas and they were pro iguana and it seemed like every post they had was a pro iguana post talking about iguanas rights and how to respect my iguana. Admittedly, it would get kind of old, kind of, you know, and that's not to diminish the pro iguana movement, okay? But I know with my friends on my Facebook feed, and maybe this is my own personal preference, um, me, you know, but I want to know what people are. I'm more interested in like what people are doing, their hobbies, and if they have information to share, or a funny joke, or a statement. Hey, I learned this today. Did you know you can get stains out of clothes by using hydrogen peroxide? And it's like, no, that's something I can use. Definitely, I'm up for a joke. And it was as a crazy old cat lady. I'm definitely up for a cat picture. But I guess not necessarily know your audience, but I definitely want to know about a person and their life and things that are going on with themselves. But I guess I'm feeling a little overwhelmed by the number one, the in your face. Um, and I guess I want to talk a little bit about that. What's wrong with me that I am so, not going to say offended, but just it makes me want to snooze the person. You know, it's kind of like a broken record, and you know, someone, Facebook definitely can be an echo chamber. But I can tell you that of the majority of people on my Facebook feed, we're transgender, we're non-binary, we're cis, my feed is a cross section of people and with different needs. Some people on my feed talk about their kids. Some people talk about their animals, their dogs, their pets. Hey, I'm going to the Gaslight Festival or the St. Matthew's Art Show, blah, blah, blah. Anybody want to come along? Or, it's like a variety of information. But from my non binary friends, it seems, or two of my non binary friends, I should say, right now it's like they're, they're, they're in a revolution of sorts, which I kind of understand. When I first, when I was transitioning and I wanted people to call me by my new name, my authentic name, refer to me as my authentic self and whatnot. I actually changed my Facebook account. Um, my old account's out there somewhere, but it was like a, you know, I I I closed one book and I started another book, and that was my Facebook life. and I'm interested in filling this book, you know. And maybe that's the same way for them, you know. Now that they're non-binary, um, they want to explore it. And again, I get it. I get it. You want to. Here I am. Just want to let you know I'm non-binary. But for some reason, and this is my own hang up, okay, I'm reminded of a period of my life in the 1990s. Might have been around 1993, 1994, when it seemed like being gay was the vogue. It was in vogue. Everyone was coming out as gay, you know. It was it was like an explosion of culture and probably acceptance. There was a march on Washington. I don't remember what it was. They, you know, bust a bunch of people up to Washington to march on the Capitol and hold a rally and whatnot. But it seemed like a lot of my friends were suddenly gay or thought they might be gay. And again, that's again personal exploration, all for that. But it got pretty again in your face. I'm gay, and I'm gay, and there's a snippet from the movie Brain Candy. If you haven't seen it, it's really kind of a funny movie from the Kids in the Hall. But one of the characters in the movie is a closeted gay guy. And through part of the movie, he comes out and identifies as gay. And he has a song, I'm gay, and whatnot. And everyone cheers, and I'm so happy you get to be yourself. And then the song ends, and he's like, I'm gay. That's the last line, is this affirmation. And the song ends, and everyone around him turns towards him in a circle. And they say, Who cares? And they all disperse. And I guess that's a testament to society, the growth of a society that, nobody cares if you're gay or you're straight. Used to be, it was a hush hush, can you believe they're gay? Da 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 da. But it had become so commonplace and accepted. It didn't matter, I'm gay. Awesome. I'm straight. Awesome. Acceptance. And I guess I'm feeling the same kind of vibe right now with the non-binary um, community. And again, I'm sure that sounds terrible. Um, you know, who cares? Oh my gosh. Um, you know, I'm trans. Who cares? You know, if you feel like you're being discriminated against, absolutely. And we still have a long way to go as far as our society and acceptance and everything. I mean, I'm not trying to belittle it or make, but I guess to my community, my tribe here, and my Facebook people, where we're a mixed bag, that all of us are very open-minded. Okay, to continually have this in your face, fuck you, da, 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 da. It's like, what are you trying to do? What are you trying to? It's not me you have to convince. I love you and I accept you as who you are. So why the okay? And granted, how selfish of me to think I'm the only person right on their feed. You know, they might have people that they're coming out to, that they're friends with, that they're trying to convince and whatnot, or just to give themselves a sense of self-affirmation. Okay, again, I'm not trying to knock it, but it's just this continual assault. And it's a broken record, same thing over and over again. And maybe you know my shortcomings where I have the problem. Okay, I'm not saying other people are a problem. I'm saying I have the problem. Okay, I own the problem myself. Okay, you know, is um, I'm accepting, and I'm like initially, okay, yeah, good for you. I'm happy you are who you are, but it almost back to again that analogy into the 90s, it became sort of a I'm special. I'm unique in that I'm gay, you know? I deserve special treatment. Boy, I never thought I'd say that. But you know what I mean? It like elevates. I'm trying to think of a good example. I need things to get this point across. Here we go. Here's some things. Lipstick. Um, people, you know, and people come in, all different shades. Okay, lipstick, but people are. We have the spectrum of gender and sexuality and everything. We're all unique, you know. And so if you have one person that says, well, no, I need to be treated differently because I'm really unique, I'm non binary, and the one way they're creating this rift between them and other people, which, if that's what you want, you know, but I almost wonder, again, part of me, it's like, and this is where I have to, this is an opportunity for me to grow, okay, for me to learn and for me to grow and expand and become a better human being. But it's just something that I've noticed lately. And maybe it's a subconscious thing, and not intentional, not intentional. But um, you know, we talk about pronouns. Okay. Oops, that's not gonna work. Put it on my nose. No. We talk about um, identify your pronouns. Okay. And I'm almost what my brain is wondering now is, you know, are we gonna need to walk around with something attached to us, okay, so that we're aware, and maybe it's my old brain, okay, but you know, when I see someone, and I rarely see people because of the pandemic, but I don't, I guess I don't put any brain power into pronouns, you know. I see a woman, I assume it's she and her, okay, which is my bad, but and here's where my brain starts to hurt, you know. But am I going to have to start to keep an index card mentally for every person I meet? She, her, they, them, theirs. Okay. And again, you say, well, it should be that way. Again, a gender spectrum. Okay. Non-binary. Is it a matter of non-binary versus binary, or is it just a spectrum, two ends of a spectrum, and we all fall? You know what I mean? Uh, but it's kind of burdensome on my brain. Okay. I'm not saying right or wrong. I'm just saying it adds another complexity to when I meet people now. And if you're non binary, you're probably saying, well, it should be that way, and it should be, you know. But I guess my brain is wired to make a shortcut, you know, path of least resistance, and to assume, if I see somebody wearing lipstick, I assume it's she, her. Okay. And that's my problem. That's my That's my conditioning. That's my training. Okay. In the same way that I see someone smoking a pipe. Well, okay. For me, I'm tainted because I know men and women smoke pipes. But you know what I'm saying? I'm trying to think of an equivalent here. Something that might be definitely masculine, and I can't really think of anything right now. What's masculine? What's solely in the realm of, I mean, cosmetics, again, it's changing. I see commercial. There was an ad for someplace like Sephora or something, a high-end makeup counter that had guys. Okay, again, we're in this realm of growth and expansion, and things are changing. Thank goodness. Okay, I'm not knocking it, but I'm just saying for my brain as an old person, um, it really is a stretch for me. Okay, and I'm not demanding someone not be that way, but again, whoops, excuse me, again, okay, this is something my brain has done for years. Okay, is the assumption when in reality, non-binary is different, right? This is something I have to learn, and I'm definitely tainted by my prejudices. There was a really cool person a couple of years ago that I made friends with, and they're non-binary, and I know I distanced myself from them, okay, because I couldn't get over seeing a guy wearing red lipstick. It just bothered the shit out of me, okay. And the truth was they were not a guy. They were non-binary. So see, I have a lot up here to change. And I think I'm pretty open-minded as trans. And one of the fuck you, I'm non-binary things that I see a lot is that if you're trans and you don't acknowledge non-binary, you're just as prejudiced as a cis person who, as a turf, again, it's good in that it's shaking up my up here. Okay, but I guess I'm relearning a lot, which I should be. But it just makes me wonder, you know, these things are not mandatory, and our brain does group things together as part of processing information, you know. And I'm also biased. I'm very biased because obviously I transitioned. Okay. I mean, maybe I shouldn't say obviously, but I transitioned to be on the woman side of a binary situation, a binary reality. Okay. You know, right? Now, does that mean I have to wear lipstick every day? No. Okay. Does that mean I'm going to give up smoking pipes? Fuck no. Um, but see, that's where I'm tainted by my programming. Er, you know. Remember the Star Trek episode? I think it's I Mud, old classic Trek, where I can't remember his name. Is it Harvey or Henry Mudd? He's got this like robotic community, and he set himself up as emperor and kind of as their leader, and the robots revolt against him. And so to combat the robots thinking, the crew of the Enterprise has to like do these illogical situations just to kind of confuse the androids, and they like shut down. That's the way I feel my brain is right now. I got some growing. I have some growing to do. Okay. But that said, I think this in your face shit, it is turning me off, you know. And I've put two of my non-binary I've put them to snooze, you know. And after a couple days of them being back, I'm gonna snooze them again because again it's like that's all they do, you know. And maybe as a person I could reach out to them and say I'm not gonna tell you what to do, but if I unfriend you, it's because of this. And what does that say about me? You know, that makes me out to be a terrible person, I'm sure. But, you know, much like the pro iguana example, if that's all you see, and again, it's like, you know, without a doubt. I mean, when I open up Facebook now, I'm gonna see a meme, another "fuck you, I'm non-binary" meme, and you know, non-binary people are people too, and you know, much like the Black Lives Matter movement, it makes me say, okay, why do you feel like you're being marginalized? Do you feel like you're being marginalized? In my tribe, you're not being marginalized. So why do you continue with this, you know, I'm different. You have to, you know what I mean? Like I said, there's opportunity here for me to grow, okay? For me to change my thinking. But it is definitely I mean, it is in conflict. Like I said, with my reality is binary, okay? And you know, I don't want to be called they, them, theirs. I want to be she, hers, okay? And so, um, while I can accept and I want to promote treating people the way they want to be treated, as I want to be treated, you know, um, I don't want people to assume that I am they, them, theirs, you know? And so again, do we, you know, are we going to have to start to wear these labels? You know what I mean? Everywhere we go. You know, obviously at work, I made mention, I put my pronouns in my signature, my email signature. So every time I send an email, it says, you know, Robin Parks, she, hers. Yeah. I've set up my Zoom calls at work now, thanks to my work's LGBT NRG. They sent out instructions on how to change Zoom and WebEx and something else, so that your pronouns are, you know, so everybody knows your pronouns. But again, it's the kind of thing I just, part of me is just saying, in this world, if we can't do this all the time, you know, think about when you go to the grocery store, okay? Not work, but you go to the grocery store or the gym. You know, I don't go to the gym, obviously, but the grocery store is a good example. You go to the deli, okay? Yes, I'd like a pound of American cheese and, you know, turkey breast sandwich slices. That person reaches over to me and says, "Here you go, ma'am." And I look at them, and based on nonverbal clues, okay, lipstick, or just how they look to me, I say, "Thank you, sir. Thank you, ma'am. You have a nice day." See, I'm in this binary trap, you know, and we're not gonna, oh, maybe shit, maybe I should, you know. But that said, should we start to just call everybody they, them, theirs? Flip it on its head. Assume everybody's non-binary. You know, assume everybody's non-binary. Um, I know if I got called they, them, theirs, well, I would get offended. Okay, I was gonna say, you probably aren't gonna offend the binary folk if you call them they, them, theirs. But I don't know. I don't know. Like I said, there's an opportunity for me to grow, but there's just something, like I said. Now it's people calling attention to themselves and deserving special treatment that I guess part of me is against. But by the same token, as trans, you know, don't I want people to call me by my preferred name? Um, but it does remind me, like I said, back in the 90s, I had a group of friends, my circle of friends at the time, and somebody came out as gay. And it was like they immediately acquired celebrity status and they demanded to be treated a little differently. And I can't really explain it. You know, they gained a notoriety that I guess I kind of see that in the non-binary community right now, or my friends that are non-binary, and it's obviously very important to them, and I want to support them, you know, but at the same time, you know, I don't know, but don't I do the same thing? I talk about helicopters, and I talk about drones, those are my hobbies. If you didn't particularly care about either, you probably would snooze me if that's all I talked about. So I don't know. Is this really about non-binary, or maybe this is about knowing someone who's become quite myopic? Could be, could be. But like I said, I think back to the person I once knew who, and obviously I knew them before they became, not before they became, before they announced and came out as being non-binary. And I just couldn't, my own programming, I can't, that's my own shortcomings. To see a guy in a dress just gives me the willies, and I know that's, again, you know, um, now my own personal preference is, um, I'm highly offended by drag queens. Here in town, we have the sisters. I don't know what their thing is. It's usually it's a bunch of gay guys who dress up as nuns, and they do volunteer in the community. I'm not trying to do that, but in my mind, they're sort of a parody of womanhood, in the same way that I find drag queens as a parody, you know, of being a woman. And it's probably more than that. You can say whatever you want, but it's just something that as a trans woman, I'm offended by personally. I don't go to those types of things, and you know, I'm I'm being honest with you. It's just not something I'm interested in. But I understand the place of it in the community, and I understand it's a free world. I'm not trying to tell someone what to do. It's just not something I'm interested in. And who knows? Maybe I feel like this is a stretch, but maybe I feel like my position as an established trans woman is somewhat being threatened. You know, maybe. Food for thought. I don't know. I don't know. But, and I hate to say it too, life is short, and I have lots of things on my plate. So maybe I'm not interested in the non-binary crusade right now. You know, um, I've made mention of this before, but I have cancer, and um, I refuse to do chemotherapy for it. So I'm gonna die from it. But the time that I have left, I'm trying to make the most of it. Take care of my daughter as best I can. So yeah, I kind of want the world to be what I want it to be, and maybe that's my problem too. But ooh, estrogen's working. Anyway, well, that's my half-baked idea. That's my quarter-baked idea, and something for me to think about. But you know, the world is definitely different. The world is definitely changing. Um, Today I talked a little bit on my Facebook page about some history I had learned about video games and how video games, were originally marketed towards everybody. This is kind of gender related. Maybe we'll change this to a different note or tone. But in the 70s, early 80s, it was boys and girls, men and women. And after kind of the collapse of the video game market or industry, they moved the video games from the electronics section to the toy aisle. And so you had to make a decision if you were a manufacturer such as Nintendo, were you going to be on the boys' side or the girls' side? And Nintendo decided to go on the boys' side. And so that's why if you look at issues of Nintendo Power magazine or the advertisements of the time, it's all boys. Now you're playing with power. No girls. And so because of that, there was this perception that video games were for boys, you know, and we're still kind of fighting that to this day. But when in reality, by market share, more girls play video games and women play video games than guys, believe it or not. Uh, and according to the census, there's more women than men anyway right now. 51% women in the United States, according to the census. So we're on the rise. But again, that's a binary world, isn't it? So anyway, it's kind of my half-baked idea of the day. And I certainly don't mean to be offensive. Um, but maybe, again, like I said, this is my world that I've created, being a trans woman, and maybe the non-binary fucks with it. And there's some friction there. And that's an opportunity for me to grow and develop. Or to just recognize that it exists and, you know, it's something for me to work on, but it's not intentional, but it definitely makes me uncomfortable. And I hate to say that because I tend to think I'm pretty cool and open minded, but yeah, I can, oh, and I hate to say tolerate because that's a very loaded word, but you know, a assigned female at birth that goes non binary to me is more acceptable in here than the reverse. Assigned male at birth going non binary. I can't, just something about it. Now, full disclosure, piercings are also something I can't take. If someone has a nose ring or a nose ring or whatever the fuck this is, piercings and shit I can't take. Now, It's a personal preference, but it's just I don't like needles. I don't like things piercing the skin. Okay, no earrings. Um, it's just my own problem, my own personal preferences and prejudices, right? So, all right, well, that's food for thought, and hopefully I haven't been too offensive. I definitely am sharing, like I said, opportunities for me to grow and to develop, as well as I think again and obviously reality is not the same thing as what's in here. And my little microcosm, my little bubble, where I try to be open minded. Uh, Someone who is not binary may feel very much so that they're being discriminated against or prejudiced against. I'm living proof of it, right? Because in my little world, right, I have problems. Uh, and that in your face is it's forcing me to tear down this lovely world that I've built. Okay. But at the same time, flip that on its head. If you're not into it, you're not into it. And as long as you're not hurting somebody else, right? It's kind of like demanding people like, I hate to be so trivial or trite, but people that I don't like pineapple on my pizza. Okay. Um, you know, as long as you're courteous and you try to observe it and treat people with respect, I don't think you can expect everyone to put pineapple on their pizza. I mean, it's just not the way they choose to spend their pizza dollar. And it's a stretch, but I'm going to say that's kind of with what time I have left. Um, it's not how I'm going to invest my time. But that said, I am going to be as courteous as I can be. And, you know, part of that is my programming. It's the world I was raised in. And that world's different. It's not the way it is today, thank goodness. And future generations, I think, might be a little more open minded. In the same way, I'm more open minded about trans stuff. It seems like there's more open mindedness nowadays. But anyway, so food for thought. I'm going to think about it and again see what I can do to change my thinking if I can. It's not a cop out. I'm not trying to say I am the way that I am and I'm not going to change. Uh, but at the same time, I have to recognize my limitations. My mother was here this week, and all of her prejudices and the way she was raised, it doesn't excuse them, but I can put her in the frame of reference that she lived. And it's not fair for me to expect her to change. I mean, there's some things that are very, very hard. Uh, my mom is 80 something years old. She's got Alzheimer's. And, she dead named me a couple times. She mispronounced me a couple times. And I just accept that as that's the way she is, you know. And I'm not going to get mad at her for it. I'm not going to correct her. She's 80 years old. I'm just thankful she's lived this long. You know what I mean? Maybe pick your battles is the good thing. And maybe that's rewind to the memes. Pick your battles, but also know your audience. You know, and I hope that maybe much like the movie Brain Candy, I'm non-binary. Yay! Who cares? And it's just an everyday thing, right? All right. Till next time. Hang in there, my friends. Good luck.